And I think we're back. Are we back? I think we're back.
Warp drive active.
So what was I saying? Yeah, so mostly what we do at the end game is we just wage war on each other. We try and take each other's space. We try and kill each other. A lot of the stuff that we do is based out of this region of space that we currently control. We just invade people. We just go and attack people for fun. There's a couple of alliances that we used to fly with who tried to stab us in the back in quite a big way. They tried to take out a lot of our large ships in an ambush, and the gentleman who leads the coalition, the Matani, has basically declared all-out war against them, calling them the traitors and all this kind of stuff, and the usual fun rhetoric you get in video games. So we're basically going all out to harass these guys and make their lives miserable, because they tried to stab us in the back in the middle of a fight. Yeah, there is. I think it's still there. If it's not, you can see it on my YouTube channel. There is one particular video. I will warn you ahead of time. It's 3.5 hours long, so you may want to skip the whole thing and just watch the cut footage where the actual fights begin. But we went on a roam, what we call a roaming fleet. We just went into enemy territory looking for as many fights as we could get, and we had a wonderful time. We killed so much stuff. Um, and I'll do that quite regularly if I can. I'll get on those fleets as often as possible. Tonight, I'm just out to make a bit of cash, although all these sites are busy. I'm not having a lot of luck at the moment. Might have to just rotate around again and see if I can find something to kill. It gets busy on an evening, as you can probably see, but it's usually not so bad on an afternoon, which is when I get a lot of playtime in, thanks to my kids being at school and I'm working from home. Yeah, okay, so even the VNIs are doing havens now. What the hell, guys? Come on. Alright, let's just find something silly to do. Yeah, we'll go back to the map in a second, actually. I can jump out around a bit if I want. Not everything will be full, but this particular system, the alliance I fly with only currently owns two systems. This system and another one a jump away called 5-6 or 5-6 if you prefer dashes. I'm trying to stay in this area purely because when fights do kick off, all of my combat ships are in this area. It's easier for me to get back and jump into something that I can go and fight with. But I might take the exploration ship out actually and just go for a wander because it looks like this system is being ratted to death right now. We call it ratting when when you're fighting NPCs because technically they're pirates, so we just call it ratting. You're out there killing pirates, rats. It does make sense, I promise. But this system looks to be quite lively. So yeah, if this site is busy, I'm gonna go and get the exploration ship out, and we're gonna go and find something. Oh, hang on. Oh, there's no one here. Oh, but the ESS is here. Oh, you jackass! You dropped the ESS here. Ah. Oh. Well, I'm not going anywhere for a while. You donkey. Ugh. Well, that's annoying. Yeah, I'm not bothering with this. I'm going to scrap ratting, I think. No, I'm not. CCP recently released a patch. Well, it wasn't that recent. It was about a year ago. They released an update to the way systems are held and captured by introducing a complex series of steps that have to be performed to capture a solar system. When we just before we were invaded and before they released this update, we owned an entire region of space. Just our alliance, just the Bastion Alliance, owned this huge area of space. Of a I don't know, I think it was about 40 systems, and we were all spread out amongst these 40 systems. And then CCP introduced this new mechanic, of what we call sovereignty, which is how you own a system, and it meant that it was very easy to capture a system if not a lot was going on in it. So if a lot of people were spread out thinly across a large area, it was very easy to take their space. So suddenly all of these massive alliances contracted into really small regions because it was the only way to hold your territory properly. Um, so the Bastion is a part of the Imperium coalition, um, and we moved with the Imperium to Delve. And when we came to Delve, we just went, it's no fun holding space by ourselves because we had just have to spread ourselves so thin. And the rest of the larger Imperium, the infamous goons, they took all of Delve and said, right, we're going to have Delve. Do you want some space here? And our leadership just sort of went, well, no, not really. It's a pain in the neck to hold. Nobody likes this mechanic. Just give us two systems. We'll live there. So we took two nice little systems out of the way in the back end of the pocket. We get to make the money here, and the rest of the Imperium, the actual goons, the big guys, the guys who run the coalition, get to do all the logistics of running and defending and keeping the space tidy, while we make all the money and go out and shoot things for fun. I think it worked out quite well, to be honest. But no, it's we are part of the largest coalition, but we're not a massive group ourselves. Actually, let's have a look. How big is the Bastion at the moment? Yes, I know. I'm part of the Polaris Rising. There's a way here. Alliances. Details. The Bastion. There we are. Member counts. Yeah, so we've got a fair few corporations in here at the moment. 40 in total. And some of them vary in size. Some of them will have, a couple of hundred members. Some of them will have thousands. It's quite a big group. The Imperium itself is huge. The goons are insane. They are an absolutely massive group. So the way they changed the mechanic meant that you needed to massively overpopulate systems to keep them safe, because they introduced a system where the more you did in a system, so the more NPCs you killed for money, the more mining you did, the more asteroid belts you mined for materials, the more industry that took place in a system, the harder it was to capture. So everyone went from being spread out around dozens of systems with like 3 or 4 pilots in a system to everyone's sort of like compressed in 1 or 2 systems to make those systems as hard to capture as possible. They call it the ADM, the active defense matrix. And the more active your alliance is in a given system, the more difficult it becomes to capture, the longer you can hold it. So if you'd been watching this 6 months ago, maybe 6 months, maybe closer to 9 months, the it would be very different. There'd be maybe 3 people in this system, and we would be like ghost town, absolutely nobody here. But because of this change to the ADM, this introduction of this ADM mechanic, suddenly we've got 127 pilots in our home system, and we can barely move. As you see, I've just jumped to something like 11 hubs, and they're all being ratted by other people. So I think we'll dock up the carrier, we'll get out the exploration ship, and we'll go and just have a wander around Delve and see what we can find. Hey, Seraph Razgriz, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the Slade 3. Welcome to the stream. It is a warts and all stream, so there might actually not be that much that's interesting happening right now. Gordon Bennett, we have so many stations in here now. This is the other upshot, the change to player-owned stations. They've introduced these citadels, which are awesome. You know, they're quite cool. But now everyone can have one because there's no limits to how many you can have in space. So there's dozens, absolutely dozens of the bloody things. I can't really say much because I've got one as well, just not in this system. Alright, so we're going to leave the carrier docked up. I might have to do some carrier ratting tomorrow when the system's quiet. The reason I want to do the carrier is because the carrier can clear a high-end pirate site in about 10 minutes, whereas the little cruisers that everyone seems to be flying around in can take upwards of 45 to an hour. So you make a hell of a lot more money. So we'll take out the Loki because it's currently fit for exploration, and we'll just wander down to 1DQ, which is our current combat staging system. And we'll just take a slow ride there. See what we find. This has been a fun thing actually. I can show you if you'd like. I can show you what there is currently available. um, I can't do it here, I don't think. I have to do it at an actual station, don't I? Yeah, let me dock at an actual station and I'll show you the current avatar system. Um, it looks great. There's just not a lot to it because they have yet to do. Oh God, you really did. You hit the nail on it. They call it walking in stations as well. There's a whole. That's a whole bloody. There's a whole history and long running gag about walking in stations because we've been trying to get walking in stations from CCP for years now, but it just never seems to happen. But there is kind of a little thing that they introduced as a way to say, stop whining. Here, go have a look at your avatars. You can do your thing. Here it is. It's a completely different render mode as well, so switching to it's a real pain. There we go. Right. So this is the avatar system. You can see my ship in the background there, just floating in the docking bay. And this down here is the capsule the pilot actually sits in. This plugs into the ship, and that controls the ship. This is the avatar system, the pilot avatar. I'm currently wearing some fairly hefty armor that I picked up somewhere. And this is about as much as of walking in stations as there is. I can go down here and I can show you the captain's quarters, as it's fondly known. The character creator in this game is actually pretty good. It's not a bad setup. It's a lot of a lot of work for very little, because this is all there is. This is the captain's quarters, and this is literally all there currently is in the walking in stations. Over here, I can use this mirror to change my appearance. I can go into character customization and muck around with the way I look. Tattooed Rastafarian dreadlocked guy. I quite like his appearance at the moment. This is the news board. I can sit here on the couch, which is fun. There we are, and I can keep up to date with the latest news from the game. That's my ship, drone bay fitting, cargo hold ships, and that's my agent finder. There's not a lot you can do in here. The first-person shooter for the Eve universe was Dust. Is it 514? That was a fun little first-person shooter, but it was PS4. Um, and that kind of restricted the player base. It was meant to integrate to the main game, and it did integrate. You could actually help pilots on the ground by bombarding the surface from orbit of the actual planet. But it was quite limited in where you could do this, and that led to balance issues. And yeah, they're retooling the whole thing now as a PC title called Legion, I believe. Someone can probably correct me on that if I'm wrong. So yeah, there's not lonely is a good word for stations at the moment. There's not really a lot to do. But to be fair, that didn't exist when I first started playing the game. When I first started playing the game, all that existed was this screen. You had just your ship and your fitting window, and that was it. There was no such thing as a pilot at all. This whole avatar system is completely new. It never existed. This screen has all been completely changed. They've added this 3D animated render of your character, and this is all new. It used to be just a 2D, literally used to just be a 2D portrait, and then they introduced this 3D avatar system. The technology is there. They just haven't done anything with it yet. So back to where we really belong, out in space, causing trouble. I'm just trying to see if a fleet goes out. It'd be fun, but nothing's been called yet. We'll have to see what happens. Last time, like I said, it was a 3-hour fleet. For the first 2 hours, we didn't actually do very much because we were hunting people who were trying to avoid us. And then when we finally got into a fight, it turned into a right mess. It was worth doing though. Lots of fun, lots of expensive ships were destroyed. So we're going to jump. Well, actually, we'll just quickly check this system. I don't imagine there'll be anything worth looking at in here. Cosmic signatures. There is one cosmic signature. Okay, well, why not have a look, eh? Why not? We'll just nip away from the station, drop our probes, and we will activate our cloaking device because this vessel is capable of cloaking. Zoom. There we are. I am now invisible to other players and cannot be detected on scanning devices, which is great if you're not looking at the screen because you're busy scanning for things in space. So we're going to set out some sensor probes here that will detect this anomaly, this cosmic signature, and try and pin it down. I should use the right terminology. This is a cosmic signature, not a anomaly. How much time do I spend PvPing? It's difficult to say, to be honest, because organized fleets, actual fleets where we've got together and gone out to look for trouble, maybe maybe 3 or 4 a week, and they can last anywhere up to 3 or 4 hours, which is a hell of a lot of playtime. Now, they're not always going to be PvP. Some of that will be looking for fights. Some of that will be, um, we may not find a decent fight. We may just pick off stragglers here and there. Sometimes we'll get into a massive fleet fight. It's a bit hit and miss, but usually I'd say I do 3 or 4 combat fleets a week, um, if I can. And they can last anywhere up to 3 hours. The rest of the time, it's running around, making money, doing exploration sites, ratting, mining, building stuff. The economy of this game is such that almost everything you use and equip is built by a player. This ship I'm flying now was built by a player. The equipment on it was built by players. The probes I'm using in deep space to search for this object here were made by players. Everything is manufactured by players. So those materials have to be mined by players to be turned into objects, which are then sold to players, which are then destroyed by other players, and then have to be replaced by other players. So the whole economy is player driven. There is some NPC stuff you can buy, but that list of NPC items gets smaller and smaller and smaller every time CCP puts out a dev patch. So you do spend, I guess it's like any sort of heavy PvP game. I've played quite a few over the years, and I noticed that with the ones that really hold people's interest, there is a lot of prep work. So while I say I'd spend maybe anywhere between 8 to 16 hours a week doing proper PvP matches, actual preparation can take. Someone has literally left one can. You bastards. Excuse my language. Actual preparation for PvP can take quite a bit of time because you have to buy the right ships, you have to buy the right equipment, you have to fit those ships out, you have to make sure you've got ammunition for your weaponry. All of that stuff has to be built, manufactured, or bought from another player. So prep work is most of the rest of my playtime. If you are a pretty heavy ratter, So I'm getting to the stage now with my carrier where I can make a hell of a lot of money ratting. I don't really need to manufacture my own stuff. I'll buy it off other players. But CCP also introduced a mechanism to allow you to buy game time off other players with in-game currency. Um, and I've been doing that lately. So some of my playtime goes towards prepping for PvP. A chunk of it goes towards earning the money to buy game time, so I don't have to pay a subscription, and the rest of it goes to just messing around in space, just doing whatever the hell I fancy, or doing what I'm doing now. Now this is a exploration site. It's a hacking site. In this case, someone's already been to it. You can see because most of the cans have already been done. It's kind of bad form, really. You should clear out the site because then it will respawn. So we'll see what we get from here. If it's been left behind, it's very unlikely to be anything valuable. Someone will have been in with a cargo scanner, took one look at it and go, nope, I can't be bothered hacking that because the rewards are naff. Oh, you pain in the neck. Go away. There we are. What have we got? Yeah, one piece of carbon. Not worth doing. But by getting rid of it, this site will now respawn somewhere in space. So we'll hop over to the next system, see what we can find as we head towards 1DQ. This ship is a weird one. They're what they call the tier threes. They are modular, so all of the pieces that make up this ship. Let's try and get a decent view of it. All of the modules. So like here is the engine module. This up here is the command module. This down here is the engineering module, and then you have electronic warfare and weapons modules. They're all interchangeable, and they change the shape of the ship. So you can get some really funny looking variants of this vessel. This particular one is built for exploration, so all of its bonuses are towards finding exploration sites. It does look a bit like a submarine. Yes, it does. It also is immune to interdiction, so enemy ships with interdiction spheres and warp disruption cannot stop this ship. I can still be scrambled by enemy ships that use modules that shut down my warp drives, but I can't be stopped by interdictor bubbles or by deployable warp disruptors, which are these giant glowy bubbles that you can't use your warp engines if you're inside. This ship can ignore those, which is rather handy, because it makes me nearly impossible to catch. I can cloak, so you can't see me, so you can't target me. And your bubbles won't stop me, because I'm defending. I can just waltz straight through them because of the nullification. So it's very difficult to catch one of these ships. You have to screw up pretty badly to get caught in one of these. CCP has a thing for submarines. I've decided. There's a few of their ships lately that look like submarines. In fact, if I go to the ship viewer, let's have a look here. We'll do a quick review of CCP's latest attempts at ships and see which ones look most like a submarine. Eh, the Amarian one doesn't really look like a submarine. I don't know what that really looks like. Where are they? Where's the... Oh, here we go, the tactical destroyers. I don't know. That one's not too submarine-y. Is it the little ones, the destroyers? Where are they? It might be. Caldari? Let's have a look. Yeah, these guys are very submarine-y. Yeah. There's your typical... I mean, God's sake. Das Boot in space. Tell me that's not a submarine. Yeah. And then we have the Galente variant, which is This one isn't quite so submarine-y, I suppose, but it still has that sort of nautical, I guess that naval feel about it. It's a weird shape from above. Looks like it's flying backwards to me. It really should be pointing that way, you know, with the engines here, flying that way, but no. This is the back end, this is the front. It flies that way. And then the last of them, the one that really looks submarine-y, the Minmatar's Talwar, which is, ignore the solar panels, it might as well be a Russian submarine. Look at the bloody thing. No, the carrier is not the largest vessel. It is one of the largest vessels. It is in the capital class, but I think it's now it is probably the smallest of the capital ships because they've introduced a new one recently. Um, so capital class vessels are these on this block here. You have the Dreadnought, which is a massive DPS boat. Its job is purely to put out damage. The Minmatar one is vertical. Little homage to Homeworld, I think. I think this actually came out before Homeworld, but the Dreadnoughts didn't exist back then, so I think this is probably an homage to Homeworld. So this is the Dreadnought class for the Minmatar. And then you have the carrier class vessels. So obviously my carrier, the one I was flying earlier, the Nidhogger. Um, Big old pile of rust because again we are ex-slaves, we are rebelling slaves, so all of our stuff looks a bit haphazard and clunky. So that's the carrier, the Nidhogger. Then you have the Lif, which is the Force Auxiliary vessel. This is basically a massive mobile repair ship. It can remotely repair ships during combat. It is an ugly looking thing. These are brand new. These have only been introduced in a recent content patch. So this is the back end. These are the engines. It actually flies. This is the front. It flies this way. This is another ship that just doesn't look like it has any business moving. Then you have the super carrier, which is kind of the Nidhogger's much bigger brother. This is the Hell, and this is a 4 kilometer spaceship, so 4 kilometers long. Engines at the back here, massive armor plating all the way around the front, and there obviously the launch bay for the fighters and bombers and everything that it can carry. Again, it looks slapdash as hell because it's built by rebelling slaves. And then the largest of the large, currently the biggest ship class available in the game, is the Titan. This is the Minmatar Titan, and I make no apologies for the fact that again this looks like a lump of crap welded together by slaves, because that's exactly what it is the Ragnarok Titan. It is just massive, 18 kilometers long. Engines at this bit here, it flies this way. This is the bow pointing that way. Looks garbage, doesn't it? I'm actually looking to buy one of these. I'm looking to buy a Hell. But to put that in perspective, the ship I'm flying now cost me just under 2 billion ISK to buy and equip. This beast here, the hull alone is 15 billion, so it's going to take me a while to get there. But that's what I'm working towards now, the super carrier. And once I get one, I may even buy a paint scheme for it, because they allow you to buy custom paint jobs, some of which look absolutely terrible. Oh my goodness, that's atrocious. I like that British Racing Green. I might go with the Justice skin. Looks like an old school Jaguar. So that's kind of the top end of the Minmatar race. But I mean, the Minmatar have without a doubt the ugliest ships in the game. I can't say that brown rusty lumps of metal look pretty. But I think the rest, it's kind of a toss-up over who has the prettiest looking ships. I think the Galente have the prettiest looking super carrier. This is another ship that's just over 3 and a bit kilometers long. It's slightly smaller than the Hell. Look at this thing. It's gorgeous. You compare that to that lump of rusty metal you saw a minute ago. How pretty is that? you know what? This deserves to be bigger. I'm going to make this bigger. There we go. Look at it. It's gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so I kind of wonder why I kind of picked this short straw with the lumpy Minmatar. Although their paint jobs aren't much better. Are the Interbus one? Ugh, yellow. No. Quaif? Ruby Sungrazer. That's naff. Serpentis? No. Umbral? No. It's all various shades of blue and black, to be brutally honest. And that just looks weird. But that said, their Dreadnought is a funny looking one. I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this thing. It's like some kind of space turd. So there we go. And their Titan is way prettier as well. 14 kilometers long, and it's clearly... This is the front of the ship again. What is it with Galente ships flying fat end first? I just don't get it. It does look nice in some of the skins. This one does. Yeah, I like this. So that's the Galente's Titan, and that's a long way off before I can fly any of these. The Caldari have more utilitarian looking stuff. This is their Dreadnought. It's I don't know what you'd say about the design aesthetic there. It's kind of utilitarian. It has a job to do and no frills. It's kind of solid, it's angled, it looks a bit modern and military. It doesn't sort of say much else other than I'm here to kick your head in. Their carriers are garbage looking because these guys were the underdogs in a war and all of their stuff their carriers are repurposed transport vessels, so they just look weird. That's the front, and he may have figured out that that's the launch bay. So the fighters actually sort of fly out backwards. I don't know. It's weird. Their super carrier is weird as well. I can't get my head around the Caldari ones. Fighter bays are here, and then it's just like what? I don't know what that's meant to be. Looks weird. Their Titan's quite cool. Weird looking fish thing. Again, it looks like it's been like welded together from a dozen other ships, to be honest. They're almost Minmatar. And then the Amarians, the religious loonies, who believe that everything is prettier when you plate it in gold. The Amarian Dreadnought, the Revelation. We are here to kick you in the head so hard you can taste yesterday's breakfast. It's just a big, weird looking thing. The ships in this game, the design is the design aesthetics on them are absolutely crazy. I think they're fantastic, but there's no denying they're weird. They are so weird. The the Amarian carrier is very pretty. I like the Amarian carrier. It's kind of utilitarian, but it's got that Amarian, we have to make everything look pretty touch because they're all about religion and faith. I don't know if you can see it on the bigger ships, but on the little Amarian ships, when you zoom in, all these gold pieces are covered in scroll work. It's really quite cool. The supercarrier the Aeon looks amazing, yeah? Looks really cool until you turn it side on and you realize it's half finished. Yeah, I'm really weirded out by the Aeon. It's a weird looking ship. I don't get it. It's funky, but it's weird. And their Titan is probably the prettiest of the Titans. The giant flying mushroom that looks like it's just constantly angry. I like the cold iron skin on this one. Looks really brutal. Crimson Harvest, that's kind of fun if you're into blood red. EOM, Cador, Canid, Purity of the Throne, Rata Sunset. This is a long game. If you're going to play this, you're in it for the long term. The new player experience they've introduced, if you want to try a new account, is quite good. It's a massive improvement over the old tutorial system. In that it actually is a tutorial. But I'm not going to lie to you, this game takes patience to learn. But once you're into it, it is the most fulfilling thing you will play. I started playing this. I think this is my second character. This isn't my first character. This is my second. Um, and I rolled him in 2007. My other character, the industrial guy on the other screen, I rolled him in 2005. I've been playing the games almost non-stop ever since. But I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, this is, like I say, this is the Warts and All Null-sec stream. Um, there's quite large periods of the game where if you don't have an aim in mind, you'll be quite lost. You won't know what to do, you know? No worries, man. No worries. Glad you stopped by. Probably going to kill the stream in a little while. I've been streaming for about an hour now. But thank you for stopping by. And if you've any other questions, feel free to come back and give us a shout. Because this is just one aspect of the game. There's a lot of other things going on. I just happen to be a null-sec nut. This is where I live. And I can't stop coughing. See what we get. Come on. Give me something. Anything. Fingers crossed. Like I said, if you're interested, I can show you some of the action. Give me 2 seconds to find this video. Where is it? I'm fairly new to all this. I think it's under my... no, not that one. Not that one. It's the boat fleet, isn't it? Yeah. Let me try and find it. No, that's the full 3-hour one. You don't want that one. Don't want that one. Don't want that one. There we go. I think this is the fun one. Yeah. Okay. If you want to see some of the PvP action, I know you want to disappear, but here, I'll drop the link in here. Have a look at that when you get a minute. That's a typical PvP fight. It only lasts about 25 minutes, and it's one engagement of about 4 that occurred on that fleet we went out in. But it's worth a giggle. Give you an idea of kind of the strategy, the tactics, and the amount of swearing that goes on. Come on, what is this? It's a wormhole. Right, we're not going to play in that. Let's see what we're going to find with the other one. I normally wouldn't mind dipping my nose in a wormhole, but it's after midnight. I'm getting tired. Mine there. Another wormhole. Ah, I'm done. That's it. I'm off to my bed. Let's go home. Where did I go? Okay, I didn't even realise I jumped this far.
Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Docking request accepted.
Right, good night, folks. We're going to call this one here. I'll upload it to Tube, add it to the Warts and All stream, and probably do some more tomorrow.